Well, Citron Research, a firm known for publishing reports on companies that its founder Andrew Leff believes are overvalued or engaged in fraud, it's now touting claims that Etsy has knowingly or negligently turned its company into a hub for counterfeit goods. In its latest report, Citron asserts that searching for popular brands like Nike or Disney on Etsy will return a handful of counterfeits resulting from ads sold to vendors buying those keywords like Nike or Disney. And Andrew Leff joins us now to talk more about this. Andrew, it's good to see you. It's been a minute. And, you know, Etsy, this one was a little surprising to me, I have to admit, just because I haven't heard from you in a little bit, although I know you've been making some other short calls. Kind of where did this one come from for you? Was it a matter of that you were looking for this stuff on Etsy and you got curious about it?
You know, it surprised myself. I was looking around the internet and just looking at sites, and I was on Etsy. And what I saw, I couldn't believe. Not only did you see some counterfeit goods, they're going to fall through it if you have a marketplace, eBay, you might be found some at Amazon. It was the complete exploitation, selling keywords. So I even went today, I put it on my Twitter. If you go to Etsy and put in the word Louis Vuitton, you'll see they sell the ad word Louis Vuitton to the counterfeiters themselves. And if you put in Rolex, we're not talking about one or two Rolexes, 20,000, Louis Vuitton, Gucci. Forget about, those are luxury brands. Forget about Disney with 1 million, Nike. And then you realize something, wow, this platform has one monster copyright trademark problem.
I mean, we should mention the company did respond in a statement and said counterfeit items, fraud, other illicit practices are explicitly prohibited on Etsy. The company says the integrity is critical to the business, and they've increased their tools, they say, to try to crack down on these practices. I mean, one would think, as you said, this is an issue for any online marketplace,
That's
right?
ridiculous. That statement's stupid, to be honest, because this morning, I went to see after yesterday, put the report out, have they cleaned anything up? So go this morning, you can still, Rolex, there's 20,000 fake Rolexes and you can buy the name Rolex. You have people selling not just Louis Vuitton fake bags, the actual Louis Vuitton fabric that's fake, buying the keyword from them. So they're not just on the marketplace, it's the double dip that's bad. You understand? And then they can have people who are trusted sellers. So it's a triple dip, actually. They're selling the names of these brands to the counterfeiters, which makes it worse than just having a marketplace for counterfeit goods.
Andrew, hey, Brian here. Good to see you. It's been a while. Let's say Etsy does go back and they clean this up. What is the stock at? Because I imagine if they wipe these things off the site, that's a big earnings hit, no?
So, you know, it's funny because this was mentioned a few years ago and you don't know. So first of all, let's look at the legal problem. If they say, you know, if they start getting sued and they have to go back and look at everything that was sold under Louis, Gucci, or under Disney, Nike, or you can keep going on, Chrome Hearts, Off-White, name any brand, right? It's endless, and they're just a legal hell. And as for it has to be relevant because they're not policing it. You know, if I understand they have a whole transparency report and they say they're policing it, but they're not. This is not a controversial call. It's anyone can see it. You go on, a Louis Vuitton purse is not $200, okay? A brand new one at 40% off that day. It's Canal Street. So for them to say it's being policed, it's not one or two slipping through. It seems inherent to the business. And if they're that turning that blind eye, you would think, wow, it's more than 5 to 7% of revenues. And you know what? Maybe that stay-at-home mom or dad who's using Etsy and makes those Disney T-shirts, it might sound like a cute story, but that's a copyright infringement on Disney. If you actually enforce trademarks, copyrights, and counterfeits, could be 10, could be 15%, who knows?
So where does the liability stop with Etsy and then begin with the sellers? Because I mean, I'm just doing a search right now on one of the most easily counterfeited shoes that's out there, and that's the Jordan 1. It's been known to be counterfeited. It's made its way onto StockX and other resale platforms in the past. So where does that liability stop and then begin elsewhere? Okay,
so if you look at right there, what's interesting about that is you see trusted seller, eBay seller, and then you see, look at all those brands they sell as you're scrolling down right now. You know, Jordan 1s are actually more difficult sometimes to counterfeit. I don't know what they're selling. You see Star Seller right there. So, you know, the Nike Charms. I mean, where does it start? You know, if they want to make a claim, they go against them and they say, let's see how enforced this has been. If a few slip through, I understand. If you go to eBay, it's very tough to find a fake Rolex. Can you find one? Yeah, I'm sure, but it slips through the cracks. I'm not saying something's slipping through the cracks. They just recently had a lawsuit from the Cashmere Association saying that people are selling cashmere and it's not real cashmere. Now, I wouldn't put it on Etsy to test every piece of cashmere that gets put on the marketplace. That's actually a heavy burden, okay? So and they did settle that, though. With this, I don't know. It seems could be really bad. It's just bad because it's been going on for years. So do they choose to make an example out of them? Do they let it go and you don't see it in the future? If something's been going on wrong for a long time, there has to be a reason why. And if you're a public company, it's probably because it's very profitable.
Andrew, we, of course, have followed your career for quite some time here at Yahoo Finance. For those that don't understand your process and how you go upon it, what happens next? Does Etsy reach out to you? Have they reached out to you? Do you expect them to reach out to you?
It's not reaching out to me.
Yeah.
It's funny. Etsy's problem's not with me. Mm-hmm. Etsy's problem's with the brands. As you saw from Nike, go put in any brand out there. It is amazing. Okay, that's a real problem. To them to say, hey, the short seller, can you imagine the guy on Canal Street who gets mad at the maybe a policeman who takes the counterfeit goods? That'd be quite foolish. What's amazing about this is if you tried to sell these goods on Canal Street or anywhere in any city, you'd get arrested and get thrown in jail. In Wall Street, you can institutionalize it and make $50 million for yourself selling stock. So it's a class thing. It's a counterfeit thing. Go look at right there. I'm seeing you're putting that up right there. Amazing. This is not like one-off. This is big.
Yeah, I guess I just wonder, if you're...
I was amazed. You have to look at this yourself.
But I guess what I'm saying, like if you're saying it's so profitable, if you're a consumer and you're looking at this and if it's so obvious that they're counterfeits, are people really buying this stuff? Is it really such a big part of their business?
First of all, counterfeiting is a multi-billion
dollar
industry.
But you look at this stuff, half these Rolexes say Ro.Lex. You're not buying a real Rolex.
No, you're not. They don't say Ro.Lex. Most of them, if you look at them, they do say Rolex. They're copies. You're looking at some right there. Go look. I'm looking at one right there. I've seen right there. The blue one right there. It's Rolex. These are fake Rolexes. And by the way, if you look at their terms and conditions, it says anything that's meant to replicate. So even a Ro.Lex would be something that's meant to deceive or replicate. Yes.
Yeah, I think if anybody comes on and they think they're buying a Rolex for $300,
that's the whole idea. Listen, the victim is not the consumer. The victim's the brand. Why are we allowed to rip off Disney? Why are you allowed to rip off Rolex?
Well, Disney usually is very aggressive about these things, so I'm surprised if there's really so much counterfeit that they're not coming in here.
Don't put in the word Disney. 1 million returns on Disney. You'll see a million hits. If somebody buys a fake Rolex, is that a victimless crime, or is Rolex being they ever trademark in Disney and Nike? You can't copyright infringe on them because the person who's buying it knows it's fake.
Andrew, I want to take a pause from this for just 1 second because there's something else I want to ask you about. And that's I talked to you a year ago and you were done with this, right? At least for that. You said, I'm not going to be a short seller anymore. The meme stock thing, to be fair, you were getting death threats. Your family was being targeted. You were taking a lot of heat over your short calls on some very popular meme stocks. And you said, I'm going to step back from it. Obviously that didn't last. What happened?
There's a difference. Let's say GameStop. What GameStop was doing is they were running a bad business. Running a bad business is not illegal, okay? I said, if I'm going to go ahead and start short selling or be more active, I want to look at things that are actually obvious and illegal. That is what we see with Etsy, okay? This is not a battleground. We're not going to argue here if somebody copyrights a Louis Vuitton or a Rolex. It's illegal to sell counterfeit. You might call it victimless because the person who buys it, but don't forget, Etsy is one, selling the name. I put in this morning, I put on my Twitter, Louis Vuitton, they're selling it to a counterfeiter. Okay, that's one. Two, they're collecting 6.5% commission on it. Okay, they are working with the counterfeiters and they gave them a platform, a payment system. I can't go to Canal Street and use Apple Pay. Okay, so they're giving them a payment system and a platform to sell counterfeit goods. That's illegal. If I did that right now, I have no doubt the DOJ would be at my house in 3 hours. And so we're talking, forget about valuation. It's illegal is the first thing. And then we could talk about what kind of hit to the company should it be.
So, okay. So basically, the answer I'm getting you from it is you couldn't stay away. Like you couldn't resist.
No, the answer is not that. It's not against the law to have an overvalued stock. I said I'm not going to discuss overvalued stocks. We could sit here and discuss that all day long. We want to buy a GameStop because it's going to go to the moon. Go ahead, have fun, right? And if Etsy goes higher, it goes higher. What I'm saying is that Etsy is operating illegally. This is not a battleground issue. This is a black and white to anyone who has a computer.
All right. Citron Research founder Andrew Left, who is back in the publishing game, at least for right now. Andrew, we appreciate the conversation and the time this morning. Thanks so much.
Have a good day.
You too.